the Heavie Sports Corner, I want to talk about Stephen A. Smith and comments that he made while he was on the Joe Budden Podcast. So when he was on the Joe Budden Podcast, he was asked pretty much what was going on with Max Kellerman. Was there any tension? Like what's the whole deal with that? He said, I thought the show was stale. I thought that we had flatline when it came to the public at large, and I'm trying to win. You weren't an athlete and you weren't a journalist, and the absence of the two components left people wondering, why should we listen to you? When these clips came out from the Joe Budden podcast and people were saying what Stephen A. Smith said, quite a few people had a lot to say, and a lot of what people were saying weren't really backing what Stephen A. Smith said. If anything, people were calling out the hypocrisy in Stephen A. Smith's comments, mainly because a main criticism that people have of Stephen A. Smith is he himself is not an athlete. So for Stephen A. Smith to say the same thing about Max Kellerman, that's very, very hypocritical. Then his point about saying that people were just, left wondering, why should we listen to you? And that the show had flatline. I agree with what a lot of people on social media were saying about those comments, that we really watched the show for Max Kellerman, and that Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith exchange, like that's what drew people in. So for him to say that the show was like flatlining and that people were saying, why should we listen to you? I don't completely agree with that. Getting to the bottom of what a lot of people, including me, really feel like the main problem was, and why Stephen A. Smith got Max Kellerman off the show, and why there was tension on quite a few topics when social impact or social justice topics would come up, or Black issues would come up. Max Kellerman more so got the point, or is able to speak to that more than Stephen A. Smith was. And that's very interesting, seeing as that Max Kellerman is a white man and Stephen A. Smith is a Black man. So you would think that, Stephen A. Smith will more so understand and speak to these issues more than Max. But that was not the case. On quite a few topics, Stephen A. Smith's stance was very, very bizarre. How is Max Kellerman getting it and understand, and you're not? I do think that that's why Stephen A. Smith was upset, and that's why there was tension, because